How's it going, everybody? CJ here. Back in another video. We're doing another first thought today. This first thought is on Blex, Vexing Pest. And the backside called Search for Blex. Before we hop into this, though, remember, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're over 800. Come on, let's hit 9. Come on, hit the button. Like this video. Comment down below what you're doing with Blex. So that way, if there's any cool interactions that I missed that you saw. Down below, we also have in the description the Discord, we have the Twitch, we have the Twitter, we have the TCG Player affiliate link. If you're going to buy any of the cards talked about in this video, buy them through there. It helps out the channel. You can also support the channel via the Patreon, which is down below as well. And the Pokemon channel is still listed down below. Help me pick my starter. Once this week ends and spoiler season is done, I'm going to continue with that. And yeah, let's hop into this. So, Blex, Vexing Pest. This card is going to be definitely one of the more listy videos just because it's not super, there's not a whole bunch you can do with this other than, 5 real archetypes being Pest Tribal, Bat Tribal, Insect Tribal, Snake Tribal, Spider Tribal. So I'm going to be going into each of the tribes and mentioning some cards that work really well with the tribe. And obviously, there's some infinite combos that I'll be talking about at the end of the video, because there's a sorcery on the back of this, so you can win the game very easily going infinite. So, we're going to start off with Pests. So, I only have a few cards for Pests. So, other than the new cards, so I'll list off the new cards real quick that have to do with Pest. You have Belladros Witherbloom, you got Callous Blood Mage, Containment Breach, Pestilent Cauldron, Pest Summoning, Professor Zoomancy, Sedgemoor Witch, Tend the Pests, and Verantine Dean of the Vein. All of those cards have to do with pests. They all are probably going to be auto-includes in a Pest Tribal deck. Otherwise, you have 2 older cards that talk about pests. You have Nuisance Engine, which is actually a artifact that just creates pests. And you have Signal Pest, which is the only non-artifact creature that is a pest. And except for Blex. Is Blex a pest? Yeah, Blex is a pest. So it's the only other one. And, alright, yeah. That's basically all I have for pests. And one of the things that all these tribes have in common is that they're all pretty good as an aristocrat sacrifice style deck. But literally all of them are good for that. So, you can run any of these tribes into a sacrifice-based Golgari shell. Or an aristocrat's Golgari shell very, very easily. So, you're going to want to have your Blood Artist. You're going to want to have your Sanguine Bond, Exquisite Blood to go along with those. And also just a combo win there. You're going to want to have your Sacrifice Outlets. So the 3 altars that I've mentioned a million times are on the screen. You're going to want to have your Death Trigger cards that, draw you cards, like Midnight Reaper and Grim Horror Specs. You're going to want your Pitiless Plunderers. You're going to want... What else is there? Sifter of Skulls and Pawn of Ulamog. All those cards seem great inside these decks. So, yeah. Now, for bats, I didn't have very much. There's not a lot of good bats. Most of them are just 4 mana, 2/1s with flying or 1/2s with flying. Not very good. There's only 2 that I wanted to mention that are worth running, being Dirge Bat and Ghastly Gloom Hunter. Next, we got Insects. Insects is pretty cool. You got Swarmyard, which was recently reprinted, so good timing there. It's a good thing that they reprinted this twice, too. They reprinted it inside Time Spiral, and then they reprinted, and they also had it in the, what's it called? Secret Lair. It's good because, Insects is in here. You got snakes in here, right? Swarmyard. Wait, which one is Swarmyard hits insects, and it hits rats, and is it spiders or is it snakes? Spiders. So, you just had the squirrels, the whole thing with the squirrels come. You had now an insect tribal and a rat tribal, or insect tribal and spider tribal commander. So it's going to be, if it didn't reprint it, that card would be very expensive right now. So it's good they reprinted it. Living Hive is good in this insect deck. It just will create a lot of insect tokens. You've got Ant Queen and Hornet Queen to make more insect tokens. You got you could also throw in the token doublers like Parallel Lives, Doubling Season, Primal Vigor. All those seem great in this deck because you're making a lot of tokens. Endless Cockroaches. You got which is just a good one because it comes back, like it's very recurable. You've got Caustic Caterpillar as removal. You got a Zoni, which can make a lot more tokens. You got Mazarek, which is a good sacrifice-based commander, just powering up all your creatures. You got Symbiotic Worm to make a bunch of tokens as well. A lot of this is just token creation. You got, speaking of creation, more token creation. There's Caustic Wasps, which is pretty cool because you can blow up artifacts by making contact, and it's got flying, so it's got evasion, so that's pretty good. You got Nantuko Husk and Devouring Swarm. Both of these are insects that have a free sacrifice outlet on them. You can also throw in Mortician Beetle, which will just get bigger as you sacrifice things. There's Xanthid Swarm, which is kind of cool because it can kind of shut down opponents that you're worried about. This is actually a very cool card that I didn't really realize existed before this. Like, if you plan on doing something big during your turn, you can attack with Xanthid Swarm and attack like the person with open mana or the blue player so that we can protect your cards from being countered. You got Swarm Shambler, just to go along with the little counters theme that you have. And Phyrexian Swarm Lord to do a whole lot. Just create a bunch of create a bunch of insect tokens, which is cool. And you can end up making 3 during your upkeep, which is powerful. Next up, I want to talk about snakes. So we got some cool snake cards. First, I want to talk about the Sashiro and his buddies. You got Sashiro the Anointed, which is a very powerful card. It gives snakes +2/+2. And whenever a snake deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Very powerful card there. There's Sachi, Daughter of Sashiro. Gives snakes +0/+1. And then gives shamans the ability to tap for 2 green. So if you have any shamans that are in this deck, which there are actually a decent number of snake shamans from the Kamigawa block, so that's kind of fitting. And then you got Sasuke, Son of Sashiro, which gives other snakes +1/+0, and whenever a warrior you control deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature at end of combat. So it kind of just gives all your warriors death touch. That one's less good, but I mean, it's a lord, which is not bad. You've also got Hooded Blightfang, because a lot of these snakes have death touch, so that way you just get the extra bonuses there. Prowling Serpapard, Cat Snake, makes your snakes uncounterable. Seems good. Hooded Hydra, very, very big snake that can make a lot of little snakes. You've got Sakura Tribe Elder, Steve, great ramp card, also a snake, also a shaman, that's relevant. Orin Frostfang is a snake that makes it so whenever you deal combat damage to a player, you draw more cards, which is huge. You got Orochi Hatchery, which is a way to just make snakes. Like, so you cast it for XX. So if you cast it for like 4 mana, so X being 2, you can pay 5, tap it, and put 2 green snakes onto the battlefield. If you can make a lot of mana, like if you make 10 mana and cast this thing, every turn you can make 5 snakes very easily, which is huge. That's awesome. You got Cobra Trap, just a cool way to make some snakes. Trap card. Skullwinder, basically like an Eternal Witness. It's a snake. Plus it has some, what's the word I'm looking for? Politics attached to it. There's Farika, God of Affliction, another good snake creator. Orochi Egg Watcher, another good snake creator that will end up flipping into something that can just buff your creatures. You've got Thieving Amalgam, which is a cool snake that just gives you card advantage. And lastly, you've got Winding Constrictor. So if you have any counter synergies, that's just a really cool card to add. And like Hirochi Hatchery has counters involved. And others. I don't know. It's just a snake that's got a very unique ability. So it seems like it'd be worth talking about. Next up, we're going to talk about spiders. So, with spiders, you got Ishkana, Graph Widow, which is just one of the best spiders. Right now, it's the best spider commander. It's a very good card, especially if you can fill up your graveyard. And it's got a win con on it. You've got Arasta of the Endless Web, which can create a lot of spiders. Again, Swarm Yard, good in this deck. You got Rot Widow Pack, which is a card I very much like. You get to create spider tokens and make your opponents lose life equal to the number of spiders you have. This is a very, very powerful card. Very good spider card. You got Spider Spawning, another great card. Spore Web Spider. It doesn't create spiders, but saprolings, but it's still a pretty good card. Hatchery Spider, so that way you can just kind of flip some Genesis Wave something into play based on the number of stuff in your graveyard. Number of creatures in your graveyard, I believe. Silk Lash Spider. I hate this card because I had a Locust God deck and I went against this card one game and I could do nothing. So I hate this card, but it does really good in certain metas. Like if you're against a deck that has any flyers, this card's great. Obelisk Spider is just kind of an interesting one that kind of shrinks your opponent's creatures. Nyx Weaver Spider, so you can help fill the graveyard to trigger these Delirium stuff and Undergrowth stuff, because there is definitely more graveyard synergies with spiders. Sweet Gum Recluse, just a new spider that's pretty cool. And Arachnogenesis. Who doesn't love Spider Fog? Good card. Also, cards like Assault Formation seem really good in this deck, because spiders have big butts. Alright, next up, I just want to talk about some good tribal cards that'll work inside any of these decks. You got Patriarch's Bidding, just throw a bunch of cards from your graveyard into play. I mean, most of these work best, other than like Patriarch's Bidding won't do anything with Pests. It will do so little with Pests, but it'll do good with the other ones. Same thing with Icon of Ancestry. So a lot of these actually don't do a lot with Pests because Pests are going to be entirely due to token creation, and also it's just not that good. But they're going to be very good at the other tribes, specifically insects, snakes, and spiders, because those are definitely the best tribes to play Blex as the leader of. You got Icon of Ancestry, just for some card advantage, Door of Destinies, Obelisk of Erd, Coat of Arms, all those to grow your stuff. You use Vanquisher's Banner to draw cards, grow things, great card there, and just got a reprint, so get on that. You got Herald's Horn and Descendant's Path for more card advantage. Metallic Mimic, just to make them bigger. And Depth of Automaton as another Lord. And lastly, I'm going to talk about some infinite combos. I've got 2 infinite combos I want to talk about here. First one is Hogak. Everyone hates Hogak, but Hogak is an infinite combo here. With Korozda Guildmage and Phyrexian Altar. So you activate Korozda Guildmage to sacrifice Hogak, making 8 Saprolings. Tap the 7 Saprolings to invoke Hogak to the battlefield from the graveyard. Sacrifice 4 of the tapped Saprolings to activate it again, sacrificing Hogak again, creating another 8 tokens, and repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat, and you'll have infinite tokens. Infinite mana thanks to the Phyrexian Altar, and infinite death triggers, whatever. But what matters mostly is the infinite mana. That's the big one. You can also get infinite mana with Malira and Wing Rattle Scarecrow. Which one is this? Wing Rattle Scarecrow is Persist, right? It gets Persist as long as you control a black creature. So it's a Persist creature. So like Malira plus a Persist creature and Phyrexian Altar. So there's definitely better ways than Wing Rattle. You can use the Goblin dude, right? He has Persist. The Putrid Goblin. He has Persist, right? Yeah. Putrid Goblin. So you can use Malira, Putrid Goblin, and Phyrexian Altar. and just sack the Putrid Goblin an infinite number of times because it'll come back and Malira stops the counter, so it just keeps persisting back into play. Make infinite mana. Once you make infinite mana, you can go through your entire deck with the sorcery side of Blex and just keep cast it an infinite number of times and the only card you actually need to take is Tendrils of Agony. So you cast an infinite number of times, you put Tendrils of Agony in your hand, and then you cast that with Storm Count being insane, and you just drain all your opponents and win the game. And that is what I have for Blex. So if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe to the channel and do all that stuff. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.